Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Well, I hope you brought your cup. And we're going to be a few minutes here. I want to talk today. I want to talk about the video I put out yesterday. It said, don't need no stinking mask. Now, first off, that title, I think it ruffled some feathers. Quite honestly, I seem to have opened up a hornet's nest that was mentioned to me. And yeah, some of it was more of a reaction than I thought. But that's okay. Everything's open for discussion. As long as we can discuss things, it works. And that's the idea. So a lot of people just didn't quite understand. They thought I was crazy at first. A couple of them have come around since I explained things to them from what their first thoughts were. But let's go into details on everything of what's going on here, what I'm talking about, and why I think this might actually work, and why it's worth trying. Why not? So first off, let me start off by saying that I believe that if you're out in public, you should wear a face mask. And if you misunderstood that idea from yesterday, sorry about that. That was not my intention. I don't go out in public at all because I am self-quarantining since March. And for that reason, I don't have to worry about it. I know 99.9% sure that I do not have the virus. So if I go out without a mask on, I'm not worried that I'm going to contaminate anybody, but they don't know that. That's why everybody should wear a mask. You just don't know. And I understand that. And not only that, I don't want you to be afraid of me because I'm not wearing a mask, or get angry with me because I'm not wearing a mask, even if I'm not wearing it because I know I don't have the virus. But that's a moot point. The idea is that everybody should be wearing a mask if you're out in public. Case closed. If you're going to be less than 6 feet away, you need to protect yourself and wear it to protect others. It's that simple. Now, if you're into certain environments, though, the mask becomes very impractical. A good example of that is politicians when they talk in front of a microphone on TV or something, or a teacher talking in front of the classroom, or a instructor in front of a seminar, a group of people. Most of those are done indoors where there still may be virus in the air, but yet everybody is wearing a mask, but you can't. But you're socially distanced to help give you that edge to not be able to get the virus. But if you want to give yourself that little bit of extra, then you want to go for the air shield across your face. The air shield itself has actually been around for a very long time. If you look back at some of the stores, remember they got the outside door and the inside door standing wide open. It's 95 degrees outside and it's 72 degrees inside. And yet the air isn't just rushing in both directions, heating up the inside. That's because they use an air shield in that mezzanine area to keep the two doors from the air actually moving from one environment to the other. That acts as a shield between the two, and it does keep them apart. So this theory of air movement controlling and protecting you, you can have an air shield, and it does work for protecting you from outside contaminants. If it's used the right way, you have enough airflow, you have enough contained area to control that flow over the area that you're trying to protect. Now keep in mind, this is the area you want to protect from here to here and from here to here. So if I have a shield on here that comes down to about here, let's say, and it comes around and is pretty much close in that area, and I'm forcing air into this little boxed area that's open on the bottom completely, and I'm blowing air in there, guess what? All that air in there has to blow out. So any air around me here can't get into my face because the air here is shielding me from it. It's pushing air around in the room away from me. Now, will I contaminate the air? Theoretically, yeah. But two things about that. First off, I had to take the mask off. I'm socially distanced, so I should be allowed to not wear the mask anyway without it being a problem. And the second is, even when I am using it, this no mask hat, theoretically, everything that I'm breathing out, or when I'm speaking, all of that is going to want to go down. So that means that everything is going to go down toward the floor rather than up into the air. If I sneeze out up into the air, that's going to go everywhere, and it's going to go a lot further. But if I'm breathing everything, directing it down to the ground instead, it's not going to fill the room up near as well. As far as the amount of airflow, the airflow isn't like what you're sitting in front of a fan staying cool type of airflow. It's just enough airflow that it increases the amount of pressure in that area here, so any outside air pressure is pushed away because this pressure is coming into that and pushing it away and equalizing to the rest of the environment. So that doesn't come in at all, and your area can be protected. So you don't have to worry about the air coming through it, even if you take a big breath. You should have a reasonable amount of protection, but the variants are how big of the shield area is and how strong the airflow is going through there. And those are the factors that I'm now keying in on to see how to make it work. The actual principle of a air shield, it's solid, it works. It has worked for many years. They've used it in many different ways. If you look around, you'll see all sorts of different things that they've used that air shield for. So it does work. And it can work in front of your face too. And you don't need a jet stream blowing in front of your face, flattening your nose out from the wind to have enough air pressure to keep you protected. It doesn't take much to keep the airflow controlled in a small area like that. And that's the principle behind what I'm doing. We're going to give it a try. I think it will work. The other thing I want to talk about too, because I'm trying to key on some of the things that I was said to me in some of these comments. And one comment that kind of stuck out to me was when somebody said, well, I'm afraid I'm going to contaminate myself in one room, walk into the next room and contaminate everybody. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, from what I understand, and somebody smarter than me is going to have to talk me out of this to convince me that it's not true. If you catch the virus tomorrow, you get that virus and you breathe it in, it's going to take a while for it to incubate within your system. The virus has to grow in volume, a number of virus cells there are. It has to grow a lot before you can start spewing that back out through your saliva back into the atmosphere. It doesn't happen within seconds of the time you breathe it in. It takes a while. It takes a while for you to get sick. The problem is that first you get infested with the virus, then it incubates, and then you become contagious. Then you become sick. That's the way this virus works, which is what's different. Usually you get sick, and that's when you're also contagious. This one has been a little different in that respect, but you're not instantly contaminated either. It would be very difficult for you to spread it to somebody else within a short period of time when you do have it. But you want to practice safe distancing and wearing a mask at the right moments so that you can protect others. And so when you're close to somebody else, you should be wearing that mask whether you know you're contaminated or not, just to be safe for them as well as you, to help them be assured that you're not going to contaminate them. Even if you know you're not contaminated, you still don't want them to feel threatened by you because you're not wearing a mask. So if you're going to be close to somebody, you got to wear it. So anyway, so that myth is also, you're not going to all of a sudden be contagious 2 minutes after you get the virus in your own system. It takes a while for you to become actually contagious. So as far as moving from one room to the other and moving the virus, the only way you're really going to move that is with these or with your feet. You're going to make contact to the surface that has the contaminant on it and move it to another room and leave some of it there. And that's a little different than airborne. If you take it, it's on the desk and you touch that item and later on you put your fingers in your mouth, yeah, you're going to probably get the virus. But if that's on that desk, unless you either put your fingers on it and then put them in your mouth before you wash your hands, or you reach down there and lick that countertop, that virus on that desk is not going to get inside of you. No matter how much you touch it, it ain't going to do it. So contamination can be around, but as long as it's not airborne and you don't put anything in your face or in your mouth, you're safe from that virus 100% when it's already settled on the surface. But you clean those surfaces so you don't accidentally take that virus and spread it out to other surfaces. That's the idea behind that. But that's a different process than airborne, controlling airborne. Airborne is all to itself. And that's why doing something like wearing a mask gives you that edge against airborne viruses, they say. Is it true? That's up for debate one way or the other, and I don't care to get into that debate one way or the other. So my opinion of that doesn't even matter. The idea is that it doesn't hurt. So I'm going to wear a mask. I expect you to wear a mask if I see you in public. I would not be happy with you if you don't. And that is creating all sorts of problems too. So don't even think for a minute you should not be responsible and wear a mask at the right time. You should. Don't wear the hat into a store and think that's enough protection to protect everybody else from you contaminating them, because that's not what it's designed for. Anybody that thought that's what it was for, I don't know what to tell you, because that's not what it's for. It's to protect you when you're in an environment where you can't wear the mask, but you want to be safe. Then the hat would work. Theoretically, if everybody in the building, in the room, wears one of these hats, theoretically, so that their face has the shield on it, and somebody in that room was a contaminated person, the odds of it moving to everybody else becomes a lot smaller, because you do have some kind of protection, and that would protect you. Even though they would be putting it out in airborne, you have a certain amount of protection from the airborne contaminant getting to you, theoretically. So also remember that if you're breathing it out, those molecules only come out a very short distance, and there everything goes down because it is heavier than air, and it'll float in the air. The more, if you sneeze, it'll spew out a lot further. If you talk loud, it spews out further. But if you're just sitting here breathing normally through your nose, let's say, that all that exhaust molecules of air, which might have the contaminant, they're all going to go pretty much down and be no further away from you than here. So you're not going to spread it if you're not speaking to anybody else. The only time you can really social distance, if you're closer than the 6 feet and you start talking to them, then you should have a mask on. But if you're further than 6 feet away, you don't have to put a mask on to protect them from you. So you got to keep that in mind. Everything is kind of common sense. So some of these arguments, they talk about, well, you can still spread it to others. If you're teaching in a seminar or in a classroom, you're going to be talking to a whole group. You're going to be 6 feet away from everybody. Or at least that should be the rule. And if you are, you don't have to wear the mask to talk to everybody. But this helps you to be protected, because they can still all wear their mask and be protected in the room. Everybody's protected but you, unless you're wearing a hat. Then maybe you might have that edge that you wouldn't otherwise have. So, yes, the hat, the no mask hat, is just one other weapon in the arsenal of trying to stay safe from viruses. More importantly, I originally was designing this strictly for use. When I say no stinking mask, I'm talking about having to wear one in my shop with dust. But it did get carried away, and that's okay. I hope we got that straightened out. I really am thankful to everybody that actually participated in this, even those that were calling me out on that, because once I explained it, pretty much everybody understood what I was actually saying. I hope this clears that up a little better. Yesterday, I probably didn't do a good job of that sort of thing, and that's okay. That's why we have continuations of subjects when we talk about them, too. And we're not done yet, I hope. I've still got thoughts on my mind how this works. I need ideas about how to actually make this hat, and I'm going to talk about that for just a quick second, then I'll let you go. Because I have at least honed in on the hat I want to use. Before I do that real quick, I have had a lot of suggestions, and a couple of them were really awesome. But a lot of people were suggesting a full mask that seals on your face and everything, like a snorkel or a gas mask or a respirator. Now, remember, a respirator only covers your mouth and nose. Your eyes are still vulnerable when you're wearing a respirator. But if you wear a full mask, it covers everything, like wood turners use, or snorkel. Anyway, you get the idea. If you're wearing something like that, that's the only way you can be 100% sure you're not going to breathe in the virus. The mask doesn't give you that 100% protection. The no mask hat doesn't give you that 100% protection. They give you the edge of, hopefully, it's enough to keep you from getting the virus. The only way to be sure is either hide in your basement or wear the whole astronaut suit and be done with it. So, as far as how I'm going to build this, I have decided on a hat. I finally found one, and what it is it's on Amazon, and it's basically a hard hat, a construction hat, and it has the built-on ear pieces to cover your ears, and it has the shield that comes down. It's a hat that everybody wears a lot when they're using a chainsaw. I think that's one of the things they refer to as a hat to wear with chainsaw when you're using a chainsaw, because it gives you the eye protection and the face protection when you're wearing it. And the nice thing about that shield is when it comes down, it actually looks like it's sealing completely on that front rim of that brim of that hat. And so that would be perfect if it does that. That would be awesome. The other thing is, by having a flip up lid, I think I can put a micro switch on that, so when you flip it up, the fan would go off, and when you flip it down, the fan would go on. And I think that'll be easy to incorporate that into this prototype. The other thing is that by having it as a hard hat instead of that soft cap that I was talking about, or I actually thought about using my old cowboy hat that I have from before, that when I finally replaced with this one, I could have used that. I thought about using that too. That would be kind of cool to have a hat like that with that on there, but that's another story. For now, I think the hard hat is one to use because I can mold my vent system of the tubing that goes into the bill, and I'll mold that onto the cap to go on top, so that when I attach the fan to it, the air channel will be built into the helmet. So I think maybe I can do that and make a pretty nice one that will be very functional, and I'll be able to attach battery packs to it however I do it. And again, I would like to make some kind of battery pack that kind of drops in and plugs in, but I can also take it and instead of plugging it in, I can just switch it out with another one and plug that one in and charge it while I'm using the new one. I also want to be able to charge it while in the car. So I think the fan I'm getting is also from Amazon. It runs off of a USB. It's 5 volt, has the same CFM as this thing, and it's 3-speed. So maybe that might make a difference too. So I'm looking forward to that fan and that hat, and that's going to be the beginning. I'm still looking at filtration, and I'm thinking about possibly doing something simple like using a coffee filter for filter. Will that work? I don't know. Your opinion would be wonderful. But these are the ideas that I'm looking at right now. I wanted more than anything, I wanted to clear up about the mask itself. And this is not a replacement for the mask. And I'm sorry if you got that impression. I was not doing that. So anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by. I really would love any suggestions you have, any ideas. And point me to directions of other things that you think might be of use to me to look at, other possible prototypes or other masks that I might be able to get an idea to from. I'll take them all. Give them to me. Either leave it in the comment, but if you do that, it may get postponed getting posted because they make me go in and check it. When you put a link on that comment, I have to review it before it becomes an official comment. So if you want to get it to me quicker, you can just send it to my email address here. So pause it and get that email address if you don't already have it embedded into your memory, which it should be. That's another story. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough, even though that's why I'm rambling, Russ. I want to stop you for coming by. Leave your comments. If you stayed to this long, my hat's off to you. But don't be afraid to leave your opinion, good or bad or indifferent. I am more than willing to talk about it if you are. And as long as we keep things civil and don't get personal, I love every minute of it. If you learned something here or you like this video, hit that like button. As always, it makes me assured that I'm going the right place. Oh, my last video yesterday, trivial, it broke a record. I got the most dislikes that I've ever had in the first 24 hours. But not surprising with that title. I think the title kind of intimidated people a little bit. So, and I really was referring to in the shop, and I probably should have conveyed that a little better. Oh well, that's me. I like to ramble about it instead. So, but don't be afraid. Hit that like button. Most importantly, though, please come back again because, as the other sign says, I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. And hopefully we'll see you guys again soon. And hopefully talk even sooner. Talk to you soon. Bye.